Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. The webinar will work out that we will go through our 4 AI agents, and we would like to have questions and answers pouring in throughout. We also have the chat function on the right-hand side. So if you would like, please drop a question or state where you're joining from in that chat. My name is Sandra, and I'm the Chief Customer Success Officer at Ignite. And with me today, I have Alan and Matthias from Product Leadership.
Yes, hello, my name is Alan, and I'm a product lead at Ignite, working on the commercial initiatives, working to ensure that our customers realize value, realize savings, and building out the agentic capabilities and the agents that we will showcase today.
And my name is Matthias. I work also as a product lead focusing on data, where we have revamped our data foundation. And this is the first time we show our customers the results of that.
Perfect. So now you know who you will be spending the next 30 to 45 to maybe an hour with. So let's have a look at what we will cover. Today, we will cover the shift from insight to action. We will also discuss what it takes to make AI work for you and not just be something on the side. We will focus on our 4 demos of our 4 new agents, whereof 2 are the supplier enrichment agents, we have a supplier bundling agent, and we have the Ask Ignite, a conversational interface to interact with your data. Towards the end, we will have a look at the rest of 2026, and also, of course, end with the questions and answers. So please ensure that you follow up with questions throughout the session, and we'll tackle them at the end. Let's get into it. So before we get into the agents, I would like to discuss the reality of procurement today. Because what we hear quite often is that it's very limited resources. You struggle with having time to work strategically. A typical week might look something like this. You have 0 days working with your stakeholders, both internally and externally. You spend way too much on overhead administrative work. That could be data consolidation, harmonization, building reports, gathering data, but also structuring it. For the last piece, you might be spending 1 day with your suppliers, but we also typically see that this is also often on the operational side more than on the strategic side. We hope that what we deliver today is something that will help you transition a little bit away from this.
Yes, and very much agree with what Sondre said, and we truly want to help you work more strategically. And now I want to talk a bit about the foundation that enables all of this. On the top here, we see AI working with the right context. Imagine you have a question, you want an answer, you obviously want the right answer. And to be able to do this at scale, we need to look at the bottom of this slide with clean and structured data. What we hear from a lot of procurement teams and what we have been working on Ignite for a long time is helping our customers to reach this state of clean structured data. Often it starts with fragmented data in different tools. It could be ERP systems in different countries, supplier data that is not normalized. And we do all of this, take all of this unstructured data, fragmented data in different tools, and help you get into this clean structured data state. We harmonize data from different ERP systems. We clean it, normalize duplicate suppliers, categorize and classify the spend, connect it, and enrich it with, for instance, supplier information. What we then end up with is the state in the middle here. It says connected intelligence. And what we mean here is to turn all of this raw data into understandable business language. Here we can see contracts, spend, risk, sustainability, terms you are quite familiar with. So we have this, we can call it also a semantic layer on top of the data, so that whenever we want to ask questions to data or enable agents to work with the data, it is able to, 1, get the right answers, but also be able to navigate in this data landscape. so that you can actually have these difficult questions or start to do these workflows where the agents need to use more of the data from different places. And when we have this foundation in place, we can start to deploy agents on top of it. And we have already started to do it. And on this slide, you can see all of the agents already in the platform today and the agents that we are launching. There might be a lot of text here, but you will get this sent out later so you can look through it in more detail. On the top row, we have the agents working in the platform today. The first 3 agents are related to the getting into a clean and structured data state. We have a classification agent, supplier merging agent, contract extraction agent. And in addition, we also want to help our customers realize value and realize savings with Ignite. And we have a renegotiation agent that looks through all of your suppliers, looks for suppliers where you have strong negotiation leverage. We present these suppliers in very simple opportunities that you can act on. And on the second row, we are this April launching 4 new agents, doubling the agents in Ignite. And we have 2 new agents related to supplier monitoring. We have a geographical exposure agent and compliance document agent. We are launching a new supplier bundling agent that will work together with the renegotiation agent to surface the best savings opportunities. Here we have the lens of consolidating spend from suppliers that are substitutable, where the services and products are similar. And finally, we are super excited to also launch Ask Ignite. That is building upon the foundation of having clean and structured data and the semantic layer on top. We are super excited to show you all of this today, and we will start with the first 2, and I'll give it to you, Sondre.
Thank you, Erlend. So I'll introduce both of these agents before we jump into the demo. Why do we need a compliance document agent? We will not be storing documents for fun. We're doing it because there is an inherent risk, a reputational risk, maybe a cyber risk or a quality risk connected to procuring goods and services from any supplier. So having the docs to have an overview and be able to manage this is integral. We see, and we have heard from customers, that they're spending way too much time, approximately 250 hours a year, just collecting this information. And this is the operational part of it, because the collection is not valuable in itself. It's the actions you take based on what you find through that collection that's actually worth the effort. With this agent, we go out to the suppliers' websites to gather this information automatically. We find certifications, for instance, like ISO certifications, in addition to other important supplier reports, which could help you prioritize and structure your supplier follow-ups, and then again, manage your risk. The information already exists out there. There is no need for any person to spend time on your side to request it, and on the supplier side to actually provide it. So this is why we're building these agents, to get rid of that work. In addition to the documents, of course, geographical exposure, which often is information bullet points that lives within the documents, is super important. There is a strong regulatory pressure in both the EU, in Norway, in the Nordics, in addition to the rest of the world. And now also recently, with all the geopolitical risk and disruption going on with tariffs and sanctions and conflicts, it's very, very important to understand where are suppliers based, where do they operate, and which regions and countries are they exposed to. To some extent, you're legally required to know this, and operationally, it is a giant risk if you're not in the know about this. So what this agent do is that it goes out there to the same data points as the other agent, but it actually then goes through the reports to find this information and automatically then populate it into Ignite to ensure that you have it where it makes sense in your supplier master. And it also has then the attached geographical risks already populated. enough slides for now at least, so I'll jump into Ignite and I'll guide you through how this will work in practice. So here I am on the home page of Ignite. I'm talking about suppliers, so I'm going to go to the supplier overview. The supplier overview is a very powerful data table in Ignite that rolls up all the connected information from suppliers. So here we're looking at our top suppliers with all our added requirements, the assessed social risk, their current status, and also how they're performing. For this case, I'm eager to get a better look at a part of my suppliers that's typically related to some risk, and that's my raw material suppliers. So what I then want to do is that I want to have a look at a subset of suppliers that I know is supplying raw materials, which is based on the spend and spend categorization. Something I've gotten help from our AI classification agent to ensure that I have control of. So by doing so, I created a watch list. So just for the purpose of this demo, I already applied some filtering. What's important here is that you see that it's a new set of columns because that's of interest for this watch list. So I have now a column for the certifications and the geographical exposure. And these suppliers are the most important ones within raw material, and I'm eager to run a fetch for these information points for these specific suppliers. I'm then going to choose all, and I have the enrich button here. And this is where I trigger both my agents at the same time if I want to, or I could choose to trigger just one of them. So what I'll then do is that I'm gonna pick both, and I'm going to click next. In addition to starting the enrichment process from the supplier table, like I'm showing now, or from a more like bulk edit mode, we also have the possibility, of course, to run this as one-offs on any certain supplier card you might be looking at and might be wanting to be deeper into. Since this is a job for an AI agent, it takes a couple of minutes to get it sorted. I've already gone out and fetched some of that information for similar raw material suppliers, where we can now see that the certification and geographical exposure, at least to some extent, has been populated. What I would like to emphasize here is that you will see then all the available certifications that are found, and those that are just claimed but not found in actual, meaning we don't have the file itself, but we have the claim that the customer states, the supplier states that they have it. That will be indicated by this little information point. So by doing so, you have a good understanding of which document do you actually have, which one is something we believe exists, and that's the same case also for geographical exposure. So also, just to be clear, this is now just like a tag. You could filter on it and so on and continue your work on it, but also on any certain supplier, you will then have both your actual documents, but also the discovered certificates that we found the claim for on any company website. That's it for the enrichment agents.
Fantastic demo, Sondre. Very interesting to see. And now we have gone through the first two and moving on to the third one, a supplier bundling agent. As mentioned earlier, we have a renegotiation agent. Now we are introducing a supplier bundling agent. Here the lens is to look for suppliers that are substitutable, and we want to find these suppliers where you can consolidate the spend with fewer suppliers to get better terms and realize savings or have improvements, qualitative improvements in your procurement. What is interesting in these supplier bundling opportunities is that we have rebuilt the setup. What we do here is we do a screening for all of your categories, and we do this in 2 steps. In the first step, we look at all the data for that category. It could be, is this a specific category? Is it a broad category? What are the suppliers? What is the supplier concentration? Which suppliers have active contracts, expired contracts? Where do they geographically deliver services, what business units or cost centers are buying from the suppliers, all of these dimensions. And then we create a category assessment for the supplier landscape and the substitutability of these suppliers. And in the second step, we look for concrete consolidation opportunities based on this assessment. And we take these concrete opportunities and present it to you so that you can easily act on them and realize savings with Ignite. And with that, let's have a look. And here. Now you can see Discover Opportunities, which is the place where we present all of these automatically generated opportunities done by Ignite. Here we have a renegotiation opportunity. We also have a consolidation or bundling opportunity here. And I now want to showcase how these look. From the front page here, I can see that there is a consolidation opportunity related to aluminium products, moving spend from AGL Ltd. I think you looked at that supplier, Sondre, which is quite interesting, into a global aluminium company. We see the category and also the savings potential. I can spend some more time on this savings potential. Here we use the affected supplier spend and we combine it with industry benchmarks that we have built up over the years with our experience with how much is possible to realize savings in these specific industries, and we tailor it to this specific type of opportunity, a bundling opportunity. While this seems like a very interesting opportunity, I'm still not entirely convinced that these suppliers are substitutable, so I want to have a closer look on the underlying reasoning. And here we can see that the agent has done some work. Both of the suppliers are delivering core aluminium products, but it has gone even further and looked through the transaction descriptions. And here I can see that it has actually found specific products that are similar. Interestingly, they are also delivering to across several overlapping business units. And also there is an active contract here for a global aluminium company, which is very interesting in this case. Here I can see the underlying data. We have been using both suppliers for the past 3 years. Both of them are delivering across all of our business units, which is quite interesting. And here in the end, I can also see that we have an active contract with global aluminium company. We have an expired contract with AGL. Here it's usually nice with some additional context. Are we aware that the contract has expired? That's something we do in Ignite, that we automatically remind you about expiring contracts. Or have we actually done work here? We have set up a new contract. Maybe it's better terms with global aluminium company, and we just want to make sure that we shift the spend over to our new preferred supplier. A bit regardless on how the specifics of this could be set up, you can bring this into the initiatives in Ignite. You can tweak the setup, whether it's different spend baseline, maybe some other tweaks on the suppliers or context or how you want to frame it, and execute on it in Ignite to keep all of the tracking in one place so that you can document savings and showcase all of the great work that you're doing. And when I go back here, I see that there is something else that I'm quite interested in, and there is something new up here. And then I'll give the word back to you, Matthias.
Thank you so much, Alan. And Ask Ignite is part of a major launch for our analytics system in Ignite. And currently, we see that 60% of custom analyses created in Ignite are never saved. And when we look into why, in a lot of cases, it is because it is just too difficult to find the answers that you are looking for. This is the case in most BI solutions. You have a lot of data spread across different data sets, and you need to know exactly which data points to use in each case. And this is why we are launching Ask Ignite. You type a question and you get instant answers from your own procurement data. And essentially here we have the semantic layer that Alan talked about, where we add a lot of procurement context and knowledge in general to the agent, but also context on which data points to use to ensure that you use only the correct date and that several users across your workspace get the same values back instead of them using different values for transaction amount, for instance, which is a typical case. So with Ask Ignite, then you can find something, you can have conversations, and if you find something you want to look at repeatedly, you can easily convert it into a dashboard, because dashboards are here to stay for the analytics you want to have a look at periodically. So questions that used to take hours can now get answered in seconds. So let's have a look.
Yeah, I'm at least excited.
I'm also very excited to see how our customers will start to use this. As Alan pointed out, there's a new button up here, and it takes you to this interface, and this agent has access to your Ignite procurement data. And to get started, you can, for instance, ask what to ask, and the agent will look at all of the available data and suggest some different paths to go down. This is, of course, then based on your spending data, your contract data, your supplier data, but also the enriched data and looking at these data sets together. As Alan showed that we should probably have a chat with AGL, I will try out this new skill, which is a negotiation preparation skill. And the agent here will then ask me which supplier to do this for. And in this case, it's a more advanced question, prepare me for a negotiation. So it will plan out several steps. As you can see, this reminds of some of the latest and greatest AI models out there, and that's because under the hood, with several layers of advanced stuff on top, of course, we are using the latest Claude models hosted in the EU. It will work through all of this. It will take a minute, so I will jump into an example where I've done this. And here we can see that it runs through a lot of different data points, collecting data across your system for AGL, but then also for other suppliers within the same categories. And it looks at data over time, it looks at contracted data, and it creates the analyses it sees fit. It will do a summary, and in most cases, it will also kind of come with some suggestions and potential next steps to go even deeper. One of the great aspects here is, of course, the conversational analytics, where you continue to drive the conversation in the direction that you're interested in. We see here that it, for instance, suggests to model a 20% volume shift from AGL to global aluminium and how that impacts your spending. From this, as I mentioned on the slide, we can easily create a dashboard to store the analytics that we are interested in. So I will store these two nice graphs, and it comes with a nice dashboard name as well. And this is then my own personal dashboard. I can continue to work on this or share it with colleagues if I want to do that. And as a quick example, this is one of the kind of standard dashboards we've built out just to highlight some of the possibilities with the new dashboard system that we are launching. One feature here, for instance, is schedule deliveries or to do alerts based on your data, which can be very, very powerful indeed. And when it comes to getting data out of Ignite, we see that in a lot of cases today, that is because people want to work in Excel using their own data. And it's understandable. It is the tool that you're used to working in, and Excel is very flexible and powerful with its limitations, of course. And today in Ignite, with this update, you can also work with Excel in Ignite. So starting a new analysis, you can click on this spreadsheet button. It will take you to an Excel interface, and you can even upload your existing Excel workbooks into this. So I have an Excel workbook here. I'll just simply drag and drop it into Ignite. And we see that Ignite transformed it into Ignite with all of the formatting, all of the formulas, everything is kept as is. And you can then easily combine that with live queries towards your live Ignite data. And you don't have to then move data back and forth. You always have the live data. And it is even more scalable than using Excel. With that, I will hand it back to Sondre.
Thank you, Matthias. And maybe we get a lot of questions from time to time with customers like, can I get this out in Excel? Because I want to run a quick scenario analysis. I want to multiply the quantities by a certain amount to have a forecast budget and so on. All of that can now be done within Ignite. You store it in a dashboard within Ignite. And also maybe more importantly is that when Excel stops working at approximately 1 million rows and your computer stops working a while before that, that's not the limitation you will have now within Ignite. So we're very, very eager to see how you interact with all of this new functionality. It is super powerful, it's also super flexible, and we're here to guide you as we move on. But yeah, we touched upon this one, the reality of procurement today, where we see that the amount spent on administrative work is too high and that we're struggling with having time for the more strategic initiatives. And we hope that with these 4 agents, in addition to the recently or previously released agents as well, we're helping you transition from this distribution to this distribution, where you have a much more healthy week, being able to spend time on what actually moves the needle, impacts the bottom line, and also reduces the risk for your companies. So hopefully what we've gone through now is something that you will also see then frees up time in your calendar, and that you really feel that this is possible. So what we just want to touch upon before we jump into to the outlook for 2026 and the Q&A is the importance of data and the fact that the value of AI, it's for certain compounds with context. So when you have all those different data points about your suppliers, your contracts, your spend within Ignite, it might also be additional information points you're interested in bringing in. The better the context will be for the agent to help you out on executing on what you would like to be doing. So that's the rationale for why we're now really, really gunning, and we're building on 2 fronts at the same time, where we're aiming to providing you richer context, meaning that we're investing heavily in the data foundation, how we structure it to ensure that it gives you the correct results, the same results, that you can trust them and that you can verify them. But in addition, that we also have the agents on top of it to ensure that you're automating more to be more efficient. Also have to mention that coming up this fall, we have the Nordic Procurement Summit and Awards in Oslo, where we believe it will be a very good event to have a good session with the fellow procurement people of the Nordics, and also more to come from our side that we believe will be very valuable to you as well. So of course we'll share more information also after this webinar. Alan, would you like to say something about the future?
Yes, and before that, very much agree with what you just said, Sondre. We are here to help you work more strategically. And summarizing a bit of what we have talked about today, we have showcased 8 agents. 4 of them were launched last year, and we are now releasing 4 new agents this April. We are just getting started. We're building out the agentic capabilities and the agents in Ignite with a goal to help you do the work better. Also, as we look forward to September and the Nordic Procurement Summit, we are excited to then launch the community intelligence and benchmarks to give you a better sense of what is good. An example could be, are my payment terms competitive, to easier understand where you should follow up. And with all of the releases that we are doing, we want to give you and your team more strategic capacity to drive more of the value that is possible to do in the procurement function. And we truly want to be on this journey with you. And with that, we are finished with the main webinar, and we'll be moving over to the questions.
Perfect. And I'll just want to touch upon the last point there from Erlend, and the fact that we're on this journey with you. What does that actually entail? Of course, everything we release will be available to our customers very, very shortly. In addition, what we develop is also tightly together with our customers. So if you're eager to both impact and help us move in the right direction as we continue to build out Ignite as we move on, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we will be very, very eager to talk with you. Perfect. Now let's get into the questions. We've received a couple, and I'll try to distribute them as good as possible. So be ready, gentlemen. We'll take it in starting with enrichment agents. So Amir has a question. How is this, the compliance and geographical agent, deployed? One supplier at a time, or bundling some or supplier at once? So what I showed in the demo is that we did a subset of the suppliers. What we've seen from discussing with our customers while building this is that it makes sense to focus on a subset. So it's either the fact that you are within a certain category or within a certain business unit, and you want a better understanding of maybe your top suppliers within that category, and then you trigger it for a bundle. But it's also the one-off kind where we do it through the supplier profile. So we'll ensure that exactly how to operate this beyond what I showed today is also very much present in our help center, and something the customer success department is very much aware of to train you on as well. And then we have just to touch upon quickly from Cecilia. When it comes to geographical exposure, can you explain where the information is coming from and what it is based on? So it's reading the annual reports and sustainability reports that it finds on the company's web pages with the intent to find out where are these companies operating, storing those unique then country tags, and then applying the risk indices to those countries. So in addition to just like listing up all the countries we find in those documents, we're also assessing the risk of those countries as well. And we have a question for you, Erlend, which is, will the supplier bundling agent indicate a potential savings based on the suggested initiative?
Will the supplier bundling agent? Yes. So if I understand correctly, there I saw the question. We have these opportunities. We present savings estimate. Whenever you want to bring this into an initiative, we bring in all the context so that there will be an estimate tied to that initiative. In the initiatives, we also make it seamless to update the estimate as you kind of progress the initiative, so that you have an initial estimate that you progressively can update as you go.
Perfect. And then we have a question for you, Matthias, and that is this Ask Ignite agent already available to all users?
Not currently, no. So it is something we are rolling out. It's a beta feature right now. And the goal is to give all customers beta access by the end of June. If you want to kind of have a priority slot in that rollout, then let us know, and we will see what we can do.
Thank you. We also have a question from Hege about the risk assessment from more than geographical data, type of business, or other official data. What we could add here is that beyond this enrichment for documents and geographical exposure, we're already enriching your suppliers with quite a lot of other metadata fields as well that might be relevant for this risk assessment. If there is other information points beyond what you're currently seeing within Ignite and that you're very, very eager to have included that you do not currently see, please reach out and we will consider how to cover those gaps. Arena also had an interesting question, and that is how correct or reliable is the data and how much can you trust the agent's outcome? And if I recall correctly, this was asked during your presentation, Matthias. So could you just share a little bit about Ask Ignite first?
Yes, and we can probably ask the way that the agent collects data will kind of use the correct data points. So yes, you can trust the agent outcome and the data that the agent collects because it is the same as you building the analytics on top of your own data. It just does it for you.
Yeah, I think it's a very good answer by good question and good answer, and can add a bit to it. When we built out the agentic workflow for supplier bundling, then we also look at all of the steps that the agent is doing, and then we can check that it is actually looking up the underlying data instead of just answering it. So we can follow up and trace all the things the agent is doing and that we are doing for that productified experience. For the Ask Ignite, you can see that the answer is usually with the underlying data, so that you can easily verify if it's using the wrong underlying data to provide the complete answer, so to say.
Thank you. And for the enrichment agents, I believe the key topic here was the information point indicating that this is either the document that has been actually found, so it is an existing PDF, which is the ISO certification, for instance, or whether it's something they claim on the web page, or and then you either take their word for it, or you then follow up, double checking that with them. And that's distincted, or there's a clear distinction in Ignite to indicate which one of the two it is. For the supplier bundling agent, Erlend, why is it showing the transition from one to the other and not the opposite direction? Do you have any reflection on that?
Yes, and this is also something we have discussed quite a lot when we have built this out. Previously, we have been way stricter. So when we look for supplier renegotiation opportunities, we are very clear you want to find the best one and present that one based on some specific criteria. When we build these bundling agents, we give it a lot of context. We ask it to reason about that context and provide a good assessment of that context. We give it some guidance on what suppliers to pick. So in this case, there is an active contract, which will weigh quite a lot. But we do not want to be too strict to define what the suppliers it should choose, but just provide some guidance to it.
Thank you. I think we also need to have a look at, Ahmed has another question, and that is, when an Excel file is uploaded, is the data also processed by Claude AI? How is the data securely handled when using Claude?
Yeah, very good question. Specifically on the Excel upload, that does not go through to Claude. But in general, when we use Ask AI agent, that specifically is using Claude models, but they are hosted in the EU using AWS, and no data is used for training. So it is more secure than kind of using Claude directly in most cases. The other agents are primarily using Gemini models, and there it's the same thing, where we ensure that everything is hosted in the place where your data is hosted anyways, and data is always securely handled.
Perfect. And I see also, I'll see that Niklas has also added a couple of questions in the same bucket. I'll read them out. the more Ignite knows, the kind of what we mentioned, that with better context comes better answers and better suggestions from the AI agents. How is the data collected? So what we could share here is that your current way of feeding data in Ignite automatically through APIs and through our data management system and so on, that's continues to be the case. We're building out our how we enrich the data. So now we have, of course, our existing enrichment with a global company database. We do have now the AI agents going out to find more supplier-specific documentation. So we're on a path here to continue to add more data points to improve this context together with you. But it's also the fact that it might be more data that you're sitting on that's currently not in Ignite that might be relevant to bring in also down the line. Your second question regarding the approval rates for the agents. So the first one is the classification agent, the AI classification. So these numbers are coming from actual usage of these agents. These were released approximately around New Year's and have been heavily used across our customers. So what we see here is that the classification agent proposes logic to move spend into your procurement taxonomy. And overall, 96% of all suggestions are approved and the rest are rejected. For supplier merging, this is about ensuring that you're handling duplicates, often a problem if you have many ERPs. You don't want to spend time on cleaning that supplier master or vendor or address code file or whatever it is for duplicates. We have an AI agent running on top of whatever your specific logic cannot handle when it comes to duplication handling as well, also with good results. And when it comes to our underlying embedding, or what's currently like...
Yeah, I'm not sure how to interpret the third question there. So we are using lots of suppliers, of course, for all of the work that we do. So it's a bit hard to answer without knowing specifically what it refers to. But it is the overall, we are always responsible for the overall Ignite experience.
Thank you. And questions keep pouring in. I'm gonna at least do one more. So Lars Thomas has a question regarding, within the risk assessment of a vendor onboarding, will the agent suggest a supplier self-assessment questionnaire for additional risk assessment? So for the time being, the agents are gathering information automatically, in addition to mapping it to risk indices to give you an overview of your risk level. If you want to dig deeper into a certain supplier, you have the possibility, either through supplier onboarding or supplier requirements, to apply the requirement to answer a certain questionnaire. And these questionnaires could be questionnaires you own and operate through Ignite. So that could be very specific to your line of work and business, to ensure that you're able to follow up on the specific risks that are relevant to you. These kind of assessments could also be used for gathering information from the suppliers.
Just quickly to Lars Thomas as well. I see there was another question on any plan for a supplier market screening agent. So I will just answer this generally. We have spent quite some time to build out the underlying infrastructure to have agents working on top of this foundation and the semantic layer that we have in Ignite. And now it's more a question of what do we prioritize? What do we think is most important for our customers? And I'm very optimistic about that we can roll on more agents into the future.
Thank you, Erlend. Also, I think a very, very important topic from Nemeth, and maybe would like to cover this one as the data guy here, Matthias. From customers and external sources, data quality is integral. How do we ensure we're not ending up with the garbage in, garbage out?
It's a very good and very central question, especially now with AI agents doing more of the work. A lot of systems in Ignite are built exactly for this purpose, to ensure that data quality is always high. And several of the agents we have been talking about today is also helping towards this goal. Of course, if the underlying data is is problematic, then that is kind of more work needed to clean up. With the new data foundation that we are now using, it enables some new possibilities to run data quality checks that we haven't been able to run before. So without promising anything in particular, that is, of course, an area that we are investing in. Yeah.
I could also just add to that, because it's a common question from especially those with maybe some legacy ERPs. They're struggling a little bit with, they feel like their data is very limited, and don't believe that there is any value to be gotten out of it. And typically, we do have great success with adding the dimensions and the AI classification and supplier merging for improving the data quality, in addition to adding relevant tags basically to your data. And if the data is really messy from the source system, our data management system is also great for having a no-code environment for making some simple operations and cleaning exercises, which is also something you do together with customer success during the implementation phase. I think that will cover the most of it. I also saw, and I think that goes a little bit back to what Arne said, some questions about item or product level data, and that's super interesting. For the outlook for 2026, we're building as fast as we can. It's of course a natural next step for us beyond the supplier level. So more to come there for sure. But we can also follow up with some specific answers to that after the call. With that, so happy to see the engagement from you. We really hope this was a valuable session. Please reach out if you have any further questions. And yeah, we'll see you next time.